What is up, boys? This is Pinzo, back with another video today. As you can see, today is a little something different. So for those of you who don't know, some of my favorite videos to watch on YouTube are Dungeons & Dragons storytime videos. I think they're very entertaining. I love to play Dungeons & Dragons, so I think that some of them are very funny, some of them are super relatable, stuff like that. So I figured I'd give my hand at it today. See if you guys thought the same thing about some of the endeavors that I have had in Dungeons & Dragons, and I figured I'd make a video on it and see how it did. So, let's get right into it, boys. So to start, just a little backstory on the campaign we were playing. This campaign had been going on for, maybe like 5 weeks. I think most of the characters level 4 or 5, kind of depended on what you were on when you joined. I was playing a class called Soul Knife, which is this super not canon class, but they're really cool. They basically make weapons with their mind. It's like kind of a telekinetic thing, but it's also physical. It's kind of complicated, but it's not that bad, but they're pretty cool. So this was the first time I'd played this class, and we had 4 people to start the campaign, but we had a guy who wanted to join. And so he ended up joining, and he was this cleric, but we had to break him out of prison at the start because he was going to be executed for some reason that we really weren't clear on, to be honest, but he was going to get executed, so we saved him. And then we were running from the palace guard, and about this time we ended up in the sewers running away because it was the only place we could go that the guard wouldn't follow. And in these sewers we find out that not only was the King's Guard not the King's Guard, but the king himself wasn't the king. The king had been taken over by some sort of lich or eldritch something that was just controlling him. The king was just a puppet at this point. But under all of this, we find a mine shaft, and there shouldn't be any mine shafts here. This is just a city. There should be no mine shafts under this city. Just a normal mine shaft tunnel, and it opens up into this ginormous room. And it's a dome. It's a glass dome. The glass is obviously very thick, but it's still a glass dome. And it's ginormous. But the other thing is that it's very, very obviously underwater. And so immediately the dwarf redoes his estimate, and he actually thinks that we descended something closer to 10,000 or closer to 15,000 feet going down, which is a lot. That's an incredible amount. We go to the center of the room, and there's just a hole in the just cut out in the bottom, and it's something like 20 feet in diameter, which is a pretty big hole, but it's in the center of the room, and there's so much space around it, giving you some slight showing of how big the room is. So looking around, you can see most of the room from wherever you're standing. There were 4 big cranks on every side of the room, and they have these chains, big chains. Each link is 6 inches in diameter. These things are massive, and they go up to the ceiling, and then they go straight down into this hole. There's 4 of them. And upon further inspection, a couple of checks got rolled, and we find out that these chains are basically what they use to trap entities, is the word I'm going to use. They can be demons, or they can be gods, or they can be devils, or anything immortal for the most part. Basically what you do is you trap them in a cage, and you lower that cage to essentially the bottom of the ocean, at which point, while said demon or god is technically immortal, they can't really do much at the bottom of the ocean. They're kind of just trapped. So that's what this thing is, and we sat and debated on what to do for a long time. We're like, guys, this is probably a demon, we shouldn't touch anything, we should just turn back and just go home. That was the original plan. And then the cleric of the party, the cleric, he's like, hear me out, guys. If it's a celestial, right? If it's a god, then we could earn some serious favor by releasing it. that could help us out a lot later, you know? Like, you know what I'm saying? And the rest of the party takes this into consideration. We're like, well, like, that's true. And so we had a wizard, and the wizard was kind of on the fence. She was like, well, but if it's a demon, like, we're gonna die. Keep in mind, we're all level 5. And this cleric, he's just adamant about if it's a celestial, then we would be like in really good favor with it, and it could help us when we need it the most. So we end up making the mistake of drawing up the chains, and up comes a cage made of the same material the chains are made out of, and this material is supposedly like unbreakable, but the cage itself is covered, it's obviously been down there a while, it's covered in seaweed and all sorts of plant life, and as it comes up, all that we can hear as the players are is just laughing, and it's not like cackling, it's more like a low maniacal laugh, at which point we knew we were screwed, right? Like, you hear that and you're just done. Basically, the party had just unleashed what was kind of supposed to be like one of the bosses, like at the end of the game. We kind of just unleashed him, and we were like level 5. So like, this wasn't supposed to happen. And then we make the mistake of saying, don't let him like get out, because there's only one exit to this thing. And so about 3 people of the party, I believe there were 5 of us, about 3 of them, they go and try to guard the exit. Well, if you're level 5 trying to guard an exit against a demon, like, you're only asking for one thing, and it's not going to end well for you. So the first thing he does is, he beats everyone on initiative, which just, like, you're already screwed at that point. But then we find out that he's very, very, very fast. So most dwarves move at 20 feet around, and this dwarf moved closer to 60, which is really bad. So the first thing he does is he sprints up to the people guarding the door and slaps our wizard. Okay, and it's not like, it wasn't like a slap to bring her to her knees, right? It was like, get out of my way. And when a demon says get out of my way, like, you're going somewhere. So he ends up slapping this wizard all the way across the dome. Okay, which was like, our DM said it was about 120 feet that he slapped this wizard. And keep in mind, a level 4 wizard, right? This wizard has something like 12 HP. Like, not very much at all. But then the wizard hits the glass side of the dome with not only enough force to crack the dome, but enough force to where basically her face hits the glass and the rest of her body accordions into her face. Somehow that was only like 20 damage, so she was like still technically alive, but she was super not doing hot. And then in the same round, he goes up to our sorcerer, which for the reason we had a wizard and a sorcerer, I don't know. But he goes up to the sorcerer and with one slash dispenses of her. Once again, not dead, but like -8. So she was like 2 hit points away from like dead. And so she's out of the fight too. So now at the door is a cleric and a demon. The cleric is the only thing in between the demon and the door. Because at this point, our fighter was the one, he was manning one of the cranks to make sure that it like got up okay. And I believe I was hiding behind one of the other cranks. And I found out that with the counterweights on the crank system to bring this cage up, the counterweights, if we could release one, then we could potentially get it to swing and do something. The plan was to hit the demon with it, but we had to lure the demon into place to get hit by it, and that was the fighter's job. So the fighter runs out and he tries to draw the attention of the demon, and the demon's not having any of it. So after the fighter runs over to draw the demon into position, the demon has had enough of this cleric standing in front of him, and he kind of just pushes the cleric out of the way. He doesn't like slap him like he did the wizard, but he runs over to the fighter and kicks the fighter. He like scissor kicks him, like jumps off the ground, both feet hit the fighter, and so the fighter ends up flying back into the weight, the pulley thing that I'm next to, and he basically shatters it, and the whole thing like falls on top of him. Now the whole dome is getting unstable. The wizard had cracked it earlier with her face, so now the whole place is starting to go down. Our fighter's out for the count, at which point the cleric turns around and he holds up his holy symbol, and he starts praying, essentially. He was chanting something, but it was more of a begging for help. He says something along the lines of, "Leave this place or my God will smite you." Okay, which like most of the time, cool, like some demons are scared of that stuff. But this demon was not scared at all. So he runs up to the cleric and cuts his arm off. The arm that's holding the holy symbol. He just cuts it off, clean off. And so our cleric is, he's missing an arm. The demon leans in close, says something along the lines of, "Where's your God now?" One of those classic lines like that. And then cuts off the cleric's other arm. So now we have a bleeding mound of flesh in the middle of all of this. We've got a cleric with no arms. We have a wizard accordioned against the wall. We have a sorcerer who God knows what happened to her. We have a fighter buried under who knows how much rubble. We've got a useless ass soul knife who's hiding for his life. And we've just unleashed the world's worst demon onto the land. So boys, as always, if you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. I really enjoyed making this. These are some of my favorite videos to watch, so I really just wanted to try my hand making them. If you did enjoy, please leave a comment. If you want to hear more from this campaign or a different campaign, let me know. If you're new to the channel and enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe. But as always, guys, I've been Pinzo. This video's donezo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.